This show is proudly supported by Habitats at Home, Australia's leading PVC reptile enclosure specialist. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook at Habitats at Home, and be sure to visit habitatsathome.com.au if you're in the market for a new PVC reptile enclosure or other reptile accessories. Massive thanks to Tyson over at Habitats at Home. We'd like to thank our podcast sponsor, Bay, reimagining reptile keeping through innovation. They combine quality, design, and function to create high-end 3D printed reptile products. And if you've got a unique setup or problem, they'll craft a custom solution made just for you. Check them out on Instagram at Bay. This show is proudly supported by Dan from Red Earth Reptiles. If you want to drool over some of the best looking green tree pythons in the country, check out Dan on Instagram at red_earth_reptiles. G'day and welcome to Under the Heat Lamp with Joe Mack. Today I am with the Aussie bush basher himself, Mr. Finn Hall. How you going, Finn?
Yeah, not too bad, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. I was just reflecting earlier on your pseudonym, I guess, the Aussie bush basher, and I was thinking that maybe some international people might not exactly understand what that means. Would you care to elaborate?
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess over here it's a phrase that everyone knows, bush bashing, but it's essentially just going off the track and heading in through the scrub, through the vegetation, and it's not really a herping specific term. It's used for hunters, bull drivers, whoever, everyone, and yeah, it just really means getting deep into the scrub and not necessarily following a path. Bush bashing.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah,
And quite often when you bush bash, it's because there's a reptile there. So it makes a
that's
lot of
it.
sense
Yeah,
for what you do.
yeah,
For anyone who's not familiar with you, would you mind just giving us a bit of a rundown on your history with reptiles?
yeah, sure. I grew up in Victoria and got into reptiles when I was pretty young. My dad used to keep them when he was a kid as well, so he sort of was a bit of an influence in getting me started in keeping reptiles and interested in reptiles. Before that, I was into invertebrates and keeping them, catching and keeping them, and then yeah, moved up to reptiles when I was still in primary school. And yeah, just started keeping blueies and water dragons, lace monitors, and I got my first snake when I must have still been in primary school at a spotted python.
Awesome.
And then yeah, when I was about 15, I started working at the local pet shop, which sort of specialized in fish and reptiles. So that got me like in around that scene. Went to the Victorian Herpetological Society meetings that were held every couple of months, and yeah, that sort of gets you in with the people and the crowd. And then when I got my license, started doing trips, heading out to New South Wales, and it sort of just stemmed from there and kept growing to where I am now.
Totally. And where are you now?
Now I'm up in Weipa in Cape York. So if anyone, if people don't know where Cape York is, it's far north, Queensland, and Weipa's on the west coast of the tip.
On the West Coast. Yeah, I won't skip over your childhood with reptiles. That's an epic way to do things. Just being so young and being amongst it all, and certainly from what I understand, the guys down at the Victorian Herpetological Society, they wouldn't have led you astray, in the sense that they probably wouldn't have let you go and do all sorts of things that weren't appropriate. So, definitely an awesome sort of way to be guided, and if you're old fellas, into those sorts of things as well. Do you have any fun stories from working at the store with the aquarium and reptile store?
That's a good question. Definitely get a lot of interesting people coming through and
Yeah.
interesting, interesting individuals. But before I even started working there, I used to just go there most weekends, and I'd just rock up, and the manager would see me and just throw me the key and let me go in and handle, whatever snake or whatever I wanted to, which was pretty, I don't know, pretty special. And then I'd take my mates down, and yeah, really definitely fueled the passion a lot. There was a pretty funny story with one of the one of my coworkers, which you'll probably hate me for talking about, but we had a carpet python come through. I think it was a red eye, and it was a pretty grumpy snake, pretty defensive, and he got it out, and it smacked him on the wrist, and it was decent size, like it was probably 5 foot or something, and he was fine, like it let go, and then like 5 minutes later, he's like, "Oh, I think it's hit a nerve," and then he only just fainted, passed
Oh
out
no.
just from like the sheer sort of like shock factor of
The
has this thing like
stress.
done some
Yeah.
damage? Yeah, that was probably the funniest thing that happened
Had it
working
done?
there.
Had it
But
done any damage?
nah, he was just getting in his head about it, and you could
Yeah,
see all the
yeah.
individual teeth marks and stuff. And he'd been bitten by stuff before, but yeah, pretty vulnerable spot, like straight on the
On the
wrist.
wrist is not fun.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
not
Have
ideal.
Have you seen that footage a few years ago of Kane Durant getting bit on the wrist by a carpet, 6 or 7 foot carpet, and it
I
like
don't reckon I have,
bites on the
no.
wrist and it wraps as it bites,
Whoa,
and it like shreds his wrists entirely.
yeah,
It's probably the worst like python I've ever
jeez,
seen.
yeah, that's
Truly
brutal.
horrific, man. And like a 6 or 7 foot
Yeah,
carpet python, it's a huge snake. So, um, anyway, I wanted to hear some stories from back then because I too I worked in an aquarium shop in a similar sort of situation to you. Used to go there all the time, and then one day I walked in and just he asked me if I wanted a job, and the characters
yeah,
that come through the door, you build these really good relationships with all these super quirky people from different walks of life, and it's funny how these sorts of special interests, I guess, allow you to meet people that you would never
mm,
sort of cross paths with otherwise, but you've got this common ground being aquariums or reptiles or whatever it is, which is interesting. Um, anyway, so you're up in Weeper now. What are you doing up there?
yeah. I'm working for a consultancy up here as a field ecologist, so doing lots of surveys up here, lots of camera trapping and stuff. Um, there's a few select species that we do most of it for, but Weeper's a mining town, so a lot of land's being cleared away, and a lot of surveys need to be done before that happens to ensure that things get buffered, and yeah, habitat that's necessary for threatened species isn't getting removed.
Yeah, sure. And did you go to uni?
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
did
that's
a
an
conservation
abrupt
and
way to ask
wildlife,
that, but yeah, yeah,
conservation
yeah.
and wildlife
Okay, yeah,
degree and deacon.
yeah, awesome, yeah. And the field ecologist work is fun stuff too. I dabbled in a little bit of that before I turned to zookeeping, but it's fantastic actually getting outside and seeing animals in the bush where
Mm.
they are, where they're meant to be. Um, and Weeper's a pretty fantastic place too. We were just discussing before we started recording. It's an interesting little town. Any highlights from your time there?
Yeah, it's a pretty unique place, and it's very, very different to, Victoria and Melbourne, and moving up
Oh
here
yeah,
was, yeah, definitely a big change. A lot of people up here are very like their hobbies are purely sort of hunting and fishing. That's the reason most people move up here. Um,
yeah,
I think what was really exciting for me was like I drove up here with dad, and um, when we came up, like we just decided to go and do a bit of a cruise, see what we could find. And my housemate, who's a local, had given me a road that he said just cuts through the bush, and it's got some paved sections and stuff. And yeah, on that drive, just seeing frillies and Scalaris, Spinoptes, tree snakes, and keelbacks. We saw orientals, which I haven't seen any of since. But yeah, just like straight into it, straight out there, and it's so
yeah,
different
yeah,
to what I'm used to living
yeah.
around.
And
And that,
was that so? I know this is your second sort of dry season up there doing it.
yeah,
And you drove up sort of in the wet season now. We're well and truly in the wet season now. And
mm,
I guess for anyone listening who might not be aware, Cape York essentially gets shut off for a good 4 or 5 months of the year. due to the wet season and different rivers flooding and whatnot. And if you're a local and you need to get up or down there, it's doable. You just need to be able to have time and resources to be able to wait out the different floodwaters. And did you face any
exactly.
of those issues on your way up?
Yeah, so it was a pretty hairy drive, and we ended up getting really lucky in the end. We left. I had intended to stay in Cairns a bit longer, but we had one night in Cairns and then just left the next morning at about 4 a.m. because like a week prior to me coming up, there'd been a heap of rain, so all those creeks and rivers were up, and then there was like a few days of not as much rain that was starting to drop, and like I was looking at there's cameras that you can track these main crossings on, um, and I was looking at them and starting to drop, and when we left in the morning, like I still couldn't see it because obviously it's dark, so the camera hasn't been updated, and we ended up
Mm,
just getting super lucky, but there was big rain forecast for that evening, so we got through a few of the crossings like Laura River, Deep Creek, and nowadays the Archer River's fine, but
yeah,
once
it's
upon a
not a
time
problem.
I've been told it was yeah, impassable at that time of year. So
I've not been up the Cape since the new bridge opened. The last
yeah,
few
right,
times I've been up the Cape, I've been looking at it going, "Holy shit, that's gonna be a big bridge. That's gonna be a
yeah,
real big bridge."
yeah,
Um,
and it's just
I've
crazy the amount of water that comes up to that bridge, like it's
Well, right now,
insane.
or in the last week or so, with tropical cyclone Narelle wreaking havoc across the top end, watching that Arch River Bridge is like 15 or 16 meters above the ground, and it was like three
Yeah,
meters underwater last week.
yeah,
It's
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 ridiculous.
just
Yeah,
insane, totally insane.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's what it's built for. I quite enjoyed all the comments of people being like, "Oh, $100 million on this bridge and it's underwater already." It's like, yes, that's what it's meant to do. It's meant to, it's
yeah,
you're pushing shit uphill with
yeah,
arguing on Facebook. Not that I do it, I just read comments and laugh. But
yeah.
anyway,
The difference
um,
that bridge has made is yeah crazy, and it's obviously
oh
very well built. So I don't know how
yeah,
anyone
and
could complain about it.
no, and the accessibility is the problem up there because you are. I mean,
Mm,
I don't think Cape York is as remote as it's often made out to be. But it is remote in the
yeah,
sense that accessibility is certainly challenging for a good chunk of the year. So
yeah,
um,
yeah,
I think something fantastic about Weipa is its proximity to a little old place called Iron Range.
yes, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah, what's it, a 4 or 5 hour drive?
yeah, for about 4 hours.
Yeah,
Obviously depending on the road, but sometimes it's a bit quicker, sometimes it's a bit slower.
sometimes it's not. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you spend a bit of time over there when you can.
Yeah, I probably did 5 or so trips over there last year. Like it's pretty hard
Awesome.
not to when you take off on a Friday, or if you got a roster day off, you get 3 days there and just cruise the night in and wake up there, and yeah, it's a pretty
You're
awesome
in
place.
paradise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
I'm a bit biased, but it's my favorite place in the country, I think. Um,
Yeah,
Actually, I was there a few years ago, and it was October again that I was there, and the weather was good one weekend. It's always blowing
yeah,
its ass off, naturally up there, pretty much.
yeah,
This weekend was particularly good, and I think probably every 10 or 15 minutes across the whole night, you hear another V8 cruiser with a boat pull in to Chili Beach.
yeah,
It was just all the cashed up miners with V8 cruisers and boats coming from
yeah.
Weipa to take the boats out to the reef. It was
Making the
awesome.
most of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because the
absolutely.
best conditions there for heading out on the water are during the wet season, and unless you're a local, you
Of
can't
course,
get there.
you
So
can't really take
yeah,
advantage of it. Yeah, yeah. I
no,
think
yeah,
the reef from Lockhart River is only like 15 k's or maybe even less. So
yeah, it's close. Yeah,
it's very close.
yeah,
Yeah. Now you did a little trip a couple of years ago around the whole country with your partner, which looked which looked pretty fantastic. Can you tell us about
yeah. Yeah, that was start of 2023. We hit the road from Melbourne, headed through Adelaide, and then up to Central Australia, Darwin, did Kakadu, Catherine, Litchfield, all of that, and then did the Gibb River Road, heading west, down through the Pilbara, through Karijini, ended up in Exmouth for a few months, then kept going south, down the whole coast, ended up in Yellingup for a few months, which is a beautiful spot, and then sort of shot home on the south coast. The weather by then was, I think it was April or May, so we got pretty rough weather for that section. But yeah, big trip,
Yeah,
heaps of highlights, and yeah, couldn't recommend doing that more to anyone. Like it's so
yeah.
insane to.
Epic. The current climate doesn't really allow, and I really feel for all the poor buggers that have planned their trips, around the country now.
Oh
Diesel's
yeah,
like 320 a liter or whatever it is. It's
yeah.
ridiculous. But we won't get into politics. How was the planning of that trip? Obviously, you're quite herp minded. Is your partner
Mm.
in a similar sort of state of mind? She's into wildlife as well.
Yeah, she's big into the wildlife and hiking and stuff like that. So she was pretty happy to tack on some spots where we could um, have a good chance at seeing some things. And like coming from around Melbourne, she'd never really done any night cruising for reptiles, and that's especially in the top end. That's really exciting. So yeah, definitely got around a bit of that. Yeah. So planning wise, I didn't want to take over the whole trip. So yeah, we sort of planned where she would like to go, and then I like all the spots on those on a lap like that. There's always going to be herping spots where you
Oh,
pick in the main centers. Like you can't really go wrong with that sort of thing. So I would just add on my spots after that, and put in the work and get out
that's
there.
good. That's a good compromise. Now, I am going to share your picture of Parenti that you took, and that's in Exmouth.
Yeah, just south of Exmouth.
Yeah, let's get that out because it is fantastic. Can you walk us through how this came about?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So that was that's an Ingaloo Reef in the background, and we had gone to this spot to camp for a couple of nights, and I think that was the first day we were there. Or maybe the second. We were walking down to go for a snorkel actually, and on the way down, I was just seeing these Parenti tracks in the sand, and I was like, "Oh, gotta find this thing." And like had a look around. We walked down along all those rocks, which are literally the water's lapping at those rocks just past where you can see there,
Yeah,
and
right.
didn't see any Parenti, or at that stage I wasn't 100% sure that it was a Parenti. It could have been sand monitors or
Yeah,
um,
yeah. I
and
did want to
then
ask because obviously there's a couple of species of goanna there. I guess was it just a wishful thinking? You were like, "There's a goanna track, big goanna
yeah,
tracks," hoping it's a Parenti.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I was sort
yeah,
of
right.
like looking at the feet and going, like, surely that's a Parenti because it feet are pretty big on those things. And then it was actually on the way back from the snorkel that I just saw that Parenti sitting like that in the afternoon, and I ran back to where we were camping, grabbed my camera, came back, and it just sat there as I took those photos, like posed up,
Unreal.
checking me out, like put on a show just for the photos. It was awesome.
Yeah, but they love it. So I've heard. I'm yet to see a Parenti in the wild, but pretty staunch sort of things quite often from what I can gather.
Yeah, like I saw a few over there in our time in Exmouth, and a few of them were, I'd say most of them were actually quite shy. Like we were
Okay.
staying at a caravan park over there, and there were two regulars that rolled through, and obviously they were used to people, but neither of them were large. The biggest one I saw was, I think, a day after that one when we were driving further down, and that thing sort of staunched across the road and then went into some bushes. But as soon as I walked up to it, it just took off. Like one of the fastest
Yeah, right.
lizards I reckon I've seen, the speed that they can run. But I think, like with a lot of other large monitors, when you find a large male, that's when you really see that sort of arrogance that they get about them, where they're not afraid to back down.
Just like this fella, just
Perfect
like this
example.
guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Big
Um,
Spencer's monitor.
yeah, do you want to walk us through this one? I'm a big fan of the black soil. Like you can see in the background, I'm actually surprised to see a tree in the background because it's pretty bloody desolate. It's pretty bloody
Yeah,
desolate out there. So can you yeah, give us this story?
yeah. So I guess for those listening that can't see, it's a large Spencer's monitor standing um, on all four legs, but raising its body up and big tail ready to flick out as a bit of a defense mechanism. This was around Winton, I believe, or that area anyway. And yeah, we just saw this big tank of a Spencer's monitor crossing the road and pull the cars up. And you see a big lace monitor normally, which is what I'm used to. Normally they sort of take off, even the large ones take off, when you walk up to them and shoot up a tree or something like that. But this thing just stopped, stood up like that, throat puffing out, tail curved, and if you got too close, it would lash it out and try to make contact. And like, which makes sense because there's nowhere for them to go. Like, it is
Yeah,
such
yeah.
a barren landscape. Yeah,
It's
very, very cool.
interesting to think about how those behavioral adaptations have come to be given their that habitat and the landscape that they
Mm,
occupy. You know, like Parentes are more associated with rocky or
yeah,
that's right, isn't it? They're like a rocky outcrop sort of thing. So
yeah,
they've often got
yeah.
places to get away from, and a Lacey's going to shoot up a tree, but a big old Spencer's or a big old Panoptes,
Mm,
they don't have so many options, and they've got big, strong tails, and I'll let you know about it. Um,
yeah, definitely.
yeah, when I said staunch about the Prenti before, I was like, oh, that's not the right word because I know it's like talking about Spencers and Panoptes, they are staunch. I think
Yeah, yeah.
the Parentes sort of just have a bit more of a presence about them. But you've had quite a bit of luck in the black soil, I believe. You've seen quite a few
Mm,
good
yeah. Did
good
a
herps out there.
did a trip out there in September of 2024, and yeah, went out there with a few good mates, and yeah, we did very well. We got kicked it off with an inland taipan, and then we got Ingrams. No, sorry, we got Ingrams, then an inland taipan in the same region, and then finished it off with a Colette's. And yeah, the Ingrams were actually like out there in surprisingly good numbers. They were the easiest of the three to get onto. And then yeah, the taipan and the Colette's black snake were both last ditch efforts, sort of pushing it as much as we could with time frame and stuff to try and get some luck.
Yeah, and this trip was with Will Spot, wasn't it? See you on
Yeah,
that? Yeah,
yeah, that's great.
yeah. He's
Yeah,
talked about this trip on the podcast before, and on all accounts, it sounds like you guys were busting your asses to find things. Well, not
yeah,
to find
yeah,
things, but busting your asses to make most of the time out there by the sounds of it. And
yeah,
man, that's the holy trinity or the trifecta of
yeah.
black soil, the Ingram's brown snake, inland taipan, and a Celeste. That's fucking insane
I
in
think
every
it's
sense of
gonna
it. It's ridiculous.
gonna be very hard to beat. Yeah, very hard.
I mean, like, what could you even do to beat that? What would beat that? I don't think
We
there's anything that.
we were Yeah, we were talking about this actually, and I think the only thing that would beat it would be doing a trip, maybe from here across through the Barclay to the NT, going for Owen Pelly, and then going through the Kimberley and getting a rough scale and a Kimberley Taipan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, that just sounds so out of reach. So
Yeah,
to get those three in
yeah,
one trip is insane. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I think that can't be overstated. That is a monumental effort to find those three. Um,
One I'll
any
definitely never forget, that's for sure.
yeah, you'll never forget that. And I think what makes it sort of so special too is that black soil is tough. There's fucking nothing out there. Just
Yeah,
just
yeah,
open plains, essentially. So when you do find things, it's pretty epic. Just the monotony, the road cruising is tough. It's hot as balls during the day.
Yeah.
Um, even September was how were the temps in September?
Yeah, so we got pretty lucky with the temperatures when we were out there. It was, wow, I guess lucky for what we were targeting. Like the nights were cool and so were the mornings, so we had a much bigger window to find things. We sort of needed to come out and bask a bit more and yeah, hang out a bit longer, which was surprising. I think it's, yeah, sometimes every year is different. Like even when I was going through Central Australia, we had like a really sort of the last warm period when I was through there on that big trip, and then my mate came through only a couple of weeks later, and it was just way too cold for anything to be out. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I
and,
guess
um,
for all of those species, the colettes. Did you road cruise the colettes at night?
it was at just before sunset,
Yeah, okay,
or
yeah,
just
and
at
then yeah,
sunset, like last light sort of thing.
yeah, which checks out because that would mean the temps would be good to find the other two in the mornings,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, what's interesting, I got a roadkill colettes. We were in Hewenden driving to Winton at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was like 38 degrees.
Wow.
Only one car went past us the whole drive to Winton, which is like a 2 hour drive. And
Yeah,
it like this Colette's was fresh killed. And I'm like, what this fuck is this thing doing active and like a high 30s? It's bizarre.
that, that is
But
so brutal. Yeah. Wow.
yeah,
Interesting.
it
Interesting. Yeah. Be
it
very
was
cool to
not
do a study on
good.
them and see what temperatures they like come out in and are still
It
active
would
in
be
because
interesting.
we probably don't really know.
No, I've got no idea. It'd be interesting if even if a tracker just had like a thermometer on it to follow the
Yeah.
temps.
Yeah.
Fascinating to see, what their refugia is like in terms of temperature,
Yeah.
at any
Mu-
time. It'd be
Yeah.
fascinating to
Must
see,
be
like
on the go.
if it's like 45 degrees outside, which it quite often is there. What sort of
Yeah.
temperatures are they hunkering down in? That'd be interesting. But I think anyone who knows herps and is giving out funding, not going to give you any money to go and try to
No.
find
Yeah.
bullets enough to make any
Like
sort of reasonable
multiple
study. But
pilots. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you need?
That
Oh, we need 10 Colettes.
10 pilots. Yeah. Good luck. That
Yeah.
story of you coming across that roadkill one reminds me of last year in Iron Range. I had some mates come up, and one of them in particular really was hoping for a coastal taipan. Like that's sort of a life dream of his to see a wild one. And we were cruising this section within Iron Range that I've known from just people at work, often seeing them there. Like it's actually quite a good stretch for them, and just lapping it every morning, every afternoon, and we do lapping at one. I think it was morning, and it was pretty quiet at that time of year. And one convoy drove past us coming out of the end of this area,
I
and
know where it's going.
we go
Oh,
back. And in that stretch we were cruising was a very fresh, dead coastal taipan, and that was the only one we saw for the trip. And we went up to Elliot Falls and covered a big amount of ground, and we're cruising out there as
a lot
well.
of
And yeah,
ground. Yeah.
I only saw that one. So that was
No, I
devastating.
think I saw it may that's always the way,
Mhm.
I as I think every herper's got at least one story about how they've been out cruising and they're not finding anything or the thing that they're looking for or
Yeah,
whatever, and then
yeah,
one singular vehicle goes past and it's like, serious man? But
yeah. That's the other thing. We were
interestingly,
seeing so little. Like I think the only thing we saw cruising there was uh a couple of panoptes, but a common tree snake. And that was it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
all
yeah.
those. Yeah.
I common tree snakes, bit of English. The common tree snakes seem to be fairly thick on the ground up in the Cape. Actually, the ones that you get over in
Yeah.
Weipa are pretty fantastic. I think you've got a good picture of one too, actually.
Yeah.
Uh,
Seen quite a few of those. There's a
yeah,
stretch
the
I like
real
called the Tree Snake Highway here because like at the right time of year you just see like 5+ in a single drive down at like Melaleuca sort of swampy area, and they must just
Yeah,
be
yeah.
loving the
I
frogs and
might, e-
stuff.
I might even know that road.
Yeah, right.
I feel like Whipper's not a massive place.
No.
Um, yeah, look at that thing. That's an interesting looking little thing. That's
Yeah,
on the western side of the Cape. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they're real
And
dark.
if you saw that in Central Australia, you think it's an inland
Yeah,
taipan. If you saw that like anywhere else, yeah, like you said here, is it the black-headed northern brown.
yeah.
Have you seen any northern browns up in around Weipa?
Uh, Very interesting story around that. The only one I've seen is when I was out in the boat looking for sea snakes at night. And we spot this snake in the water, and it was a northern brown that had somehow drowned and was just floating in amongst some debris. The
Bizarre.
only one, yeah,
That's super weird.
yeah. Like I don't, and
Yeah,
it wasn't like a time where there was heaps of flooding going on or anything. Like I don't know if it didn't look old or like emaciated or yeah, it was super
yeah,
weird.
yeah. Sometimes things just die, hey, in the wild
Yeah,
too. Like it just
yeah.
happens. But let's not brush past looking for sea snakes in the boat at night. Let's let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, there's plenty of sea snake species up here, and our boss at work is doing a bit of a some research on them. So occasionally we get the chance to go out and have a look for them. But yeah, I can't remember the amount of species here that's here, but it's yeah, quite a lot that you see, like over 7 species, I think. And
Whoa,
lots
that
of little
is
file
crazy.
snakes as well. Often see them, or have often seen them mating in the water, which is pretty cool.
Oh, sick. And so, what's the sort of methodology to look for them? You just get in a boat and putt around slowly, or are you? I imagine
Yeah,
with the file snakes, it'd be closer to structure.
you'd be surprised. They are out in the open. Like this is in a river mouth.
Yeah,
Usually,
I would be
yeah, they're out
surprised.
in the middle of it. Yeah. But yeah, just putting along with some spotlights, and yeah, you're seeing them when they're up at the surface, either resting or getting a breath or something. But they do dive down quite quickly.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. And like, that's not a place I'd want to be just swimming out in the water, you know. So
Yeah,
it's interesting that they're so abundant there because obviously there's lots of crocs, there's lots of sharks, there's lots of big predatory fish as well. So clearly a pretty
yeah,
abundant sort of waterway. Obviously, Weipa is
yeah,
massive for fishing too. So
yeah.
um,
Very healthy water systems, that's for sure.
yeah, totally healthy enough to facilitate mangrove monitors as well. Hey,
Yeah, yeah. Got got a good my first good look at one recently. I've actually bought a boat as well, so it's in Cairns at the moment, but I'll definitely be getting out more into the mangroves and trying to work out those mangrove monitors because they are,
yeah,
yeah,
hell yeah.
very, very beautiful looking lizards.
Oh, stunning, stunning looking lizards. I don't think that any of the mangrove monitors in captivity in Australia are actually the Australian ones because none of them seem to
Mm,
have like just like that one you saw. It's like quite a typical Australian one. Very like lots of yellow in them.
yeah,
But a lot of the ones
yes.
in captivity are black and bluey and white and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
But
they are quite different, aren't they?
mate, getting a boat's gonna show you a new world,
Yeah,
literally up there. Yeah,
I think so, yeah. It's just, like, there's so much more you can access via boat than you
totally.
can drive to because,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That'll be you on the east coast when the weather's good, taking it over
Yeah.
to Iron
Yeah.
and getting out to the reefs there
Yeah.
for sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
Um, yeah, absolutely. As I was talking to you before a bit before we started recording, I was doing some guiding up there, and part of our guides, part of our tours, sorry, was we sent all the clients onto like a croc watching, wildlife watching boat in Weipa.
Oh,
And
yeah. Yeah.
I asked the guide there if he'd ever seen mangrove monitors, and he was not like, he wasn't really a herp guy. He was just like a croc and bird guy. He said he'd
Yeah.
seen a couple of big monitors in the bushes, but not really. So,
Yeah, there you go.
interesting to see that they're around though, for sure.
Yeah, they're not something that gets seen all that often, so it will be.
No, I guess it's, you know, who wants to go trudging through the mud to try and find an animal that's just 99% likely just to take off because it saw you way
Yeah,
before you saw it,
exactly, yeah.
you know?
Boat's definitely the
Um,
way for them. Yeah, the one I
that's the way to go.
one I tracked down, or not tracked down, one I found in on foot with, a mate from work. As soon as we saw it, just took off, and you can't run through the mangroves, so you see a
No, but
glimpse and they
they can.
yeah. That's for sure, yeah. And
Um, you got any trips planned?
not at this stage, no. I
Yeah,
got a bit of a busy year this year, so I think I'll just be doing local stuff, around here when I get the chance. Gotta
yeah.
gotta get that Keith-Lawn iron range, and,
Oh,
um,
yeah, okay.
my partner's coming up, so we'll go up to the tip for the first time and check out, around Bamaga and Lockerbie Scrub, which is something I'm pretty keen to do, and another good another good effort in the heathlands, up there would be nice as well. So there's still so much to see
Yeah,
around here.
so
Yeah.
much to see. The Lockerbie Scrub's an interesting place. Um, it's cool. Have you been up there before? No.
Nah, I haven't been across the
Ah,
Jardine.
interesting. Yeah, okay. We'll get ready to pay, but
Yeah.
it's well worth paying for it. It's fantastic up there, man. It's awesome. There's actually so much to see in the Cape. There's so many different
Yeah,
spots. Um,
yeah,
it's awesome that it's like at your back door that you can just shoot off for a weekend and sort of go to these places. It's epic,
yeah,
man.
that's it.
It's very, very cool. Have you seen by chance any Dorianus, any blue tail monitor design range?
Yeah, I've seen 2.
Yeah.
Um, Both of them were looking on foot, and yeah, same deal, they took off pretty quickly. One of them, the first one was a pretty big male, and it bolted towards a creek, jumped under the water. We sat there and waited. I had my video camera ready to go, and then I was just scanning, and then all of a sudden I just see its head sticking out of the water. It looked just like a log, and it was amongst some logs. I was like, "Oh, that's
Oh,
it." So I pressed record, it ran up the very steep, creek bed, and then sat at the top and just looked at us for, it felt like a while, but it was probably only like 3 seconds or something.
seconds. Yeah, yeah.
And then took off, and then I looked down at my camera and I hadn't pressed record. So that
Oh
was pretty,
no,
devastating, and then
that's
the
devastating.
yeah, and the second one was, a bit smaller, but I'd still call it an adult, and there's this section of creek that I've always thought looks good for them, so when my family came to visit every morning and afternoon, or whenever we were driving past, I'd stop the car like 50 meters out, walk up, look, and just do that every time. And one of the times there was one sitting on the bank, but as soon as it saw me stick my head over, it just was
It was
gone.
gone.
Yeah.
How oh god, my English is a bit cooked on Sunday afternoon. But how like gratifying for you to be like, yep, this creek looks good for them. I'm gonna continue
Yeah.
to check it, and then you get it. You were right. You got one.
Yeah. Yeah. Such a good
Unreal.
feeling. Those moments are
Um,
good.
I got a roadkill one just
Yeah.
just past the heathland towards Fruitbat Falls. There is a patch of rainforest, like a couple
Right.
little patches of rainforest up
Yeah.
there, and
Yeah. I
and
know
I
the
got a,
place.
what? Well, I don't know what else it could have been. It could have been an indicus, but it was it was roadkill like maybe 2 days beforehand.
Yeah.
So it wasn't looking great. I'll find a picture and send it to you. Um,
Yeah. I'd love to see that.
yeah,
That's an interesting
thank
bit
God.
of rainforest there.
It's epic because obviously you know what the country's like up there. It's the heathlands, which is also interesting, and then you just come into
Yeah.
like this thick, like verdant green rainforest.
Yeah.
It's weird, but I like it. Um, I was lucky that like 2 days or a day, maybe a day or two before I got that roadkill one, I got a live one in Lockerbie Scrub. Thank
Oh,
God.
really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Actually,
and
I've seen your pictures of that.
yeah, I'm sure I've told this story on the podcast before, so I won't go too far into it. But um, this thing just sat in a tree, like just above head height, and stared at everyone for like half an hour. People were like,
Wow.
I had my whole tour bus, 21 people, all got out and got pictures of it. Half the oldies didn't know what they were looking at or
Yeah.
or anything, but they could just tell that I was excited. So
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
we get where we're going. We're stopping to look at this thing.
Oh,
Trust me.
yeah. You'd be
Yeah.
enjoying every moment of that half an hour.
I think I might have shed a tear a little bit,
Yeah.
maybe. Like
Yeah.
it was ridiculous. I went full tour guide moment because it shot across the road, and I was like, "There's only one lizard that thing could have been, a big black monitor up here. There's only one thing it could have been."
Yeah.
And so I pulled the truck over, and I went like out back to a guide back and climbed onto the roof of the truck, and then I look into the tree, and then there's this Dorianus just poking its head out from behind the tree, looking at me, and I was like,
Wow.
"Holy shit!" And then it just climbed down the tree and was perfect. It was
Really?
unreal. Yeah.
Wow,
You
that's
know those
surprising
times where
when
it
you
was
were there.
crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. But you know those times where you're like, oh, I don't even want to go and get my camera. I just want to soak this
Yeah.
in because I don't want to miss it. And
Yeah.
I could have had a cooked lunch and come back and it would have still been there.
That's
Like,
crazy. Unheard of.
it was awesome. Unheard of. Yeah. But anyway, it's all good. Um, you got any other fun stories, Finn? What else?
Um, while we're on Dorianus, on my last time through Iron Range on my way back down, I was giving Keith Horner another effort and um like I don't know if I got unlucky or what, but the day after I left, the people from work I was with stayed on and they saw a freshly hit DOR Keith Horneye and they had a Dorianus basking on the side of the road.
Man,
So
see, it's kind of the beauty of burping, isn't it, though?
yeah,
Like,
keeps you
you either
going, keeps you
see it or you
motivated.
don't. It just
Yeah,
keeps you hooked. Keeps you
yeah,
hooked.
for sure.
Um, the Keith Horn I have eluded me as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. If you what's your sort of method for searching for a Keith Horn eye? Walk around during the day,
I've just been walking, walking the edges.
walking the edges. Yeah,
There's a few like looking at iNaturalist records and trying to pick the habitat and stuff, but
yeah,
haven't had any luck. So who knows if that's the
yeah.
go? But I think
Who knows?
I'll give trying to spot them from the car a go.
Yeah,
Next because I see a lot of cars and I'm sure they see a lot of people too, but maybe they're less flighty along the roads, which is what Will was saying to me about them and other monitors too. Like you see that with
true.
a few things. Could
Yeah,
hold
yeah.
some truth.
I wonder too if they've got more of a strict sort of thermal window as well, because I know
Mm.
it's a very small sample size, but I've been looking for the now Varanus coranda, and
Oh yeah.
we found like none in the morning, and then as soon as it started to get really hot during the day, I think we found like 13 in an hour and a half.
Wow.
And it was like right in the middle of the day where it was super hot. So I wonder if the Keith Horneye are a similar thing. They'd like it to be really warm because it's pretty sort of thick canopy cover, I guess, where the Keith
Yeah.
Horneye are as well. I don't
Yeah,
know.
definitely wouldn't surprise me if that were the case. It's not like
Maybe.
it's like you wouldn't expect them to overheat either. You just imagine they go deeper into the canopy and hunt in there when
Yeah.
it gets if it ever does get too hot for them, then
Yeah.
they'd still
Totally.
be
Totally.
uh,
Coolest lizards. They're the coolest lizards. I think
oh
they're
yeah.
epic.
Yeah.
They've eluded me as well.
Would have to be the most unique um monitor in Australia, I would say.
Something else sprung to mind, which is something that I think you've seen as well. Speaking of unique monoliths, you've seen
Mhm.
Varanus sparnus, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, epic, crazy. How did that
Pretty
go down?
exciting find, that one, yeah. That was very unexpected, just obviously it was, a fair bit of luck because it was something that I cruised, so yeah, crazy find just to see that in person and be able to get some photos as well, and an
Yeah.
amazing spot. My favorite spots up there on the
Yeah, there
Dampier.
was that in Dampier? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Dampier
And,
Peninsula.
they're obviously, or maybe not obvious, but they're smallest, if not one of the smallest, monitor lizards in the world. How big was the
Yeah,
one that you found?
they got classed as the smallest in the world, I'm pretty sure. But yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't measure it, but I don't know, it was probably only way big, like
ridiculous.
20 centimeters or something. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe even
Crazy.
less.
The
Small.
whole Varanus genus is just bizarre, given that
Yeah,
that's so closely related to a Komodo dragon. Like,
yeah.
a Komodo
Wow.
dragon could eat probably 1,000 sparmans in
Yeah.
one sitting. You know what I mean? Like,
And they
it's
were, yeah, in
crazy.
the same genus. It's mental.
Yeah,
That
yeah. And
that scale difference.
you've done Komodo, hey?
Yeah. Yeah, went over
Yeah.
there. While we were doing that lap, actually, when we were going through Perth, the flights are cheap, and we thought, why not duck over there? It's been a dream for a long time, and
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
epic
Yeah.
place.
And so you did that with a guide, obviously.
Yeah, did that
Yeah.
with August Alain. He's
Yeah.
a bit of a legend. Yeah, he was very
He is a legend.
accommodating and put us on to some good some good wildlife over there. So
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
another one I'd recommend.
I recommend that too. Yeah. My partner and I did a similar trip in 2024 with a Gus as well.
Oh, there you go.
Actually,
Yeah,
was it 2024 when you were there? No, 2023.
yeah, 23. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, no. A
Yeah,
Gus is
it's
super cool.
yeah, he is, isn't he? And it's such a good trip to do with a partner or a group because there's so much more to it than just like it's
Totally.
not like you're just seeing the komodos. Like you're going out at night, you're going snorkeling. The
Yeah.
water's just amazing. Like yeah,
I also
phenomenal.
found I've done that trip twice now, and both
Yeah,
times you just get fed like a king. Food
yeah,
on those little rickety timber fucking shitty looking boats. Those
yeah.
guys just bust out the craziest meals.
Oh
It's
yeah,
unreal.
yeah,
They make like this like sweet soy tempeh stuff, and I'm not the biggest fan of that stuff, sort of naturally, you know, but
yeah.
this sweet soy tempeh that they do on those boats, I don't know what they put in it. It's unbelievable.
Pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
it's epic. It's epic. And I also found like the herping over there was good too because like we'd had enough of it. We were in bed by like midnight each night, but by
Yeah.
midnight on those islands, you've covered some serious ground, and
Oh
it's not
yeah.
and you sort of come across things not like entirely easily, but
Mm,
once you've hit the main target, you get that the blue viper. It's like, oh well,
yeah.
it's all good. We can go to bed early tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
And it's
you got a blue viper there.
yeah, we got a big adult and a juvenile as well, so it was yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, it's unreal.
pretty
Any
crazy.
any Russell's vipers?
Nah, I was really hoping for one, but
Yeah,
no dice. Yeah.
yeah,
Our
same here.
the guides we had on the, island, like the local fellas, had sort of had enough by a certain point,
Oh
like I
yeah,
was have a massive night trying to get the Russells, but they were like, "Oh, time to go."
come on,
So,
come on, man, time to go.
yeah, just
And
something
they
to
don't
go
want to
back.
leave you. They don't want to leave you there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's always good to have things to go back on.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Um, how's your YouTube channel going?
Yeah, it's a bit slow at the moment. I've been a bit slack on the, videos for a while now. I think it's hard when, a lot of the stuff I'm doing is local stuff and I'm on my own and I don't have those mates or my partner there to film. Like, it's hard jumping in front of the camera with people you don't know as well, I find anyway.
Yeah.
So, I think this year
Also
I'll
with a sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say, I think this year I'll aim to do do a bit more, and I'm probably just making excuses, so I should just get out there and do it.
Just get into it, mate. Just do it.
Get stuck in, yeah. Especially with the
Get
boat,
stuck
that'll
in.
add another element. Getting, doing camping and overnight stuff on there,
Totally.
and
Yeah, yeah. You'll
yeah,
have to get a couple of tripods,
yeah,
or maybe or maybe like a camera on a gimbal that can just follow you around or something.
yeah, yeah. I've got
Yeah.
plenty of iron range footage from last year. Lots of green tree python footage and cuscus, striped possum. Got a video
Yeah.
of when we were watching and filming this green tree python, a Kalia came out. This is in the dark and came out and obviously was attracted by the light and insects and stuff and was coming along. And then the green tree python was caught alluring and it caught the skink's attention and it walked right under it and was walking around it. And at one point, the python did strike out at it, but it missed. But yeah, that would have been some
Whoa.
pretty insane footage if it got it. But it's cool to see that they were hunting like with
Yeah,
that
that's
caught.
amazing. But you've got the
Yeah,
footage of that anyway, of the strike
yeah,
and the miss.
yeah,
Wow, that's awesome. And was it an
yeah,
adult green?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, an adult
Sort of
green
that
eating a
average
skink,
adult
eh?
size you see, like not one of those. Sometimes you see, I don't know if you found this as well. Sometimes you just see like you'll see most of the same size, and then you'll just see this one that's almost double the size. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'm yet to see a big one. My green python count's still pretty low up in iron range.
yeah,
But
right.
gotta get back up there, man. It's been
Yeah,
yeah, three
yeah.
3 years. 3 years since I've been to Iron Range and I
Wow.
live pretty close. It's a damn
Yeah,
shame. It's a
definitely
damn
due for
shame.
it. On our first trip over
Oh,
there,
totally.
which was last year in must have been May or something, like just as the Pasco River dropped enough to be able to drive through, we saw like I was like 12 in one night or something crazy like
Yeah,
that.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah. And were you like road cruising with torches out the window
yeah,
or were you on foot? Yeah.
mostly, yeah, just doing that
Yeah.
seems to be the way to go.
And definitely seems to be the way to go. I'll never forget driving. Like I was like, yeah, we've seen green pythons tonight, but we're staying at Chili Beach, so we'll just drive to Chili Beach. But I may as well just poke my head out and just see if there's anything down here. And just as you come into the rainforest at Chili Beach, there's a green python like 50
Well,
meters from the beach.
that's so
Um,
sick.
it's epic. It's epic, man. It's so good up
Yeah.
there. It's
Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. You wouldn't expect to see them there. It's so cut off to the rest of the rainforest by that heath.
Yeah, but I guess yeah, the heath isn't exactly favourable. It's not. I don't think. Surely they're not traversing from Chili Beach through the heath back up
I wouldn't think
to
so.
the
It may
park.
yeah. I guess maybe it's enough of a pocket of heath that the rainforest stretches around the edges of it, and that's how they're moving.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, Finn, I'm pretty content, mate. You happy to wrap things up?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on. It's a pleasure. And if people are looking for you, whereabouts can they find you?
Yeah, just Aussie Bush Basher on Instagram would be my most active outlet, and then the YouTube. YouTube hopefully can expect some more content, and that's just Aussie Bush Basher as well. So yeah, feel free to message me about anything on Instagram, and we can catch the videos.
Yeah, so it has. I'll chuck those links in the show notes for sure. Thanks a bunch, Finn. I appreciate your time, mate. Cheers.
No worries. Thanks, Joe.
As always, everyone, thanks so much for listening. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, follow, all that good shit. I'm on Instagram at joemac.uthl, and cheers.